5. And y'all know what time it is. We coming straight from the chair. We are laughing because we just had some crazy, it wasn't even technical difficulties. It was just, yeah, something. I don't know. But
Get on.
we're getting ready to run it. Give us a second.
Get it straight from the chair. We ain't just talking about hair. Here to feed your mind, enrich your soul. Just leave the noise behind. Come lay down your load. Come get it straight from the chair. We ain't just talking about hair. Here to feed your mind, enrich your soul. Just leave the noise behind. Come lay down your load and get it straight from the chair.
So y'all know we have to let the intro play. And for whatever reason, we can't get it on Instagram, but it is definitely on YouTube and Facebook for the repeats. So y'all, I need you all right now to share this live. We're getting ready to have a deep conversation about adoption. And for some people like me, it will probably be just surface conversation because I don't know what that's like. And I didn't think that I knew people that were. And having a conversation with someone who has gone through it, it really touched a part of me. So y'all know how I am. I'm quite sensitive, but I also knew I had a platform that they could get their story out and to have an opening eye for people who are in the process of adopting or people who have been adopting and are uh, looking for their parents or going through the process. So today, oh, first of all, disclaimer, y'all. I went to a cigar bar yesterday. I'm allergic to smoke, literally. I just can't. I can't do it. So I thought I was trying to be a big girl. I was trying to be like with everybody and just join the crowd, and it is not working. My voice is off the chain. Like, so when y'all keep hearing that, bear with me. Like, just know I don't have any wine today. I have water, and I actually want to warm this water up so I can drink it. But um, I am so excited for my guest tonight. Um, I met this young lady. Okay, so I have someone that rents my salon or my station on my days off, right? And she was coming to see them. Well, I usually do not open up. Someone else usually opens up for me. But this particular day, I came at 7 o'clock in the morning to open up. Well, this young lady was here and she and I was having a conversation. Well, I was looking at how her hair was and I was like, I don't think that process is going to be great for her hair. Me as a stylist in my head, I'm just like, I don't think this is going to be great. But I also want to see what this stylist says. I'm not getting ready to dock any stylist and their money. It's not my place. So true enough, the stylist was on the same page as me. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. So she was sitting in here like, so what y'all want me to do? Because I'm getting something done today. So the Lord laid it upon my heart to do her hair that day. Y'all, on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. Don't ever get it twisted. Do not call me. Do not hold me accountable for doing this. This was the Lord. Mm-hmm. But I ended up doing her hair. And in the process of doing her hair, she was telling us about this story of her finding her birth parents. And I was intrigued. And that day, she became my client. And she comes every week. And every week. And we get to learn more and more about her life as being an adopted baby girl. She was adopted from birth. So I am going to introduce you to you, but I'm going to let her give her feed of who she is and where she's from. And this is Miss Janelle. Janelle, what's your last name? More
Coats.
More Coats.
Yes.
What? Did I know your last name was More Coats?
Probably not.
This is ridiculous. I'm like the worst host. Because I just say Janelle and I see Janelle
That's
on the
it.
book, y'all. So more
It's
coats.
just Janelle.
So Janelle,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about who Janelle is now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Janelle Moorcoats. I'm 42. Born and raised Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Go Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies. Just
You really did that?
that is a no.
You really
That is
did
a
that? Let's not do that. Let's not do that on the home part. Even your man sitting over there with an A hat.
No.
Don't do that.
Um, what else? Well, yeah. So for a lot of you that may know, a lot of you that may not know, yes, I do have a story about myself that I have pretty much never really shared unless you were deeply, deeply rooted in me. And then there's also some that are deeply rooted. I just never sat down and had the conversation. But yes, I am adopted. I've been adopted from birth, so I've always known. Um,
So let's
gosh,
stay there because I know we can get into the
gosh,
story and the story and keep
yeah.
going. So I'm gonna kind of bring it to y'all. Um, she was adopted at birth. I asked
Yes.
her. One of my questions was, "When did you find out?" So you saying it was never a secret
No,
that you were adopted?
not in my family. No,
Okay.
not in my
Okay.
family. No, never a secret. My parents told me I've known since a little girl. Like I
Okay.
used to run around and tell my family members, "Oh, I'm special because I'm adopted. I'm special because I'm adopted,"
Okay.
and they're like, "Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
moving on."
Right. So when you found out as a little girl, it didn't affect you. You really didn't know
No,
what that meant.
no.
What did you think it meant?
I don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I was always told that my birth parents. I was always told my birth parents were teenagers.
Okay.
Right. So my parents were so much older, grandparents, aunts, uncles. So it's not like it was a topic of discussion. It was, hey, you're adopted. We're not your real parents. Like you weren't in my belly, but you're in somebody else's belly. But
Okay.
we're here.
Gotcha.
So I'm moving on with life. But that's me as a child.
Yeah. You as a child.
Yeah.
Okay. You become a teenager. You still about the same?
No.
Okay.
No.
So at what point did it started becoming a question?
I would say about 16.
Okay.
About 16. 16, I was starting to feel like, all right, I think this is when I started to explore the city more. Because, before 16, you're still at the house. You don't, you're outside, all those in Trevos, we went skating, everything. We didn't.
So you getting ready to go outside to the skating rink and go out to the little teen clubs.
We're getting ready to go downtown. We're getting ready to shop. We're getting ready to do all that stuff.
You need to make sure you're not.
Who am I running into?
Right. Oh.
Who am I running into? That person might be a cousin. Oh, that person might be somebody. That person might be somebody. So I never really thought about it because I'm with my friends. These are my day ones. And it's like we travel in packs.
Right.
But as I'm traveling, you never know. I'm sitting there looking at people like, oh, maybe, just maybe.
Wow. So how was that in high school, after high school? Like, how was that, the mindset for you? Did you start having any different feelings toward your adopted parents or your birth parents?
No. Okay. I've always wanted to know.
Okay.
That's the thing. I would say when I first started dating, I told like my very first boyfriend, I'm adopted and I really want to find them. I guess at some point, but I asked, my parents were like, when you're 18, when you're ready after that, we have something for you. Okay, cool. But I would say prior to that, it was definitely the question of, well, what if and where?
Wow.
I used to get all the compliments before that, I look just like my dad, you know what I mean? But we already knew. But I would say back then it was a constant reminder of, but he's not. So
it was one of those, but now, people say you feed them long enough. That is definitely true. You feed them long enough.
And I was fed.
You was fed.
I was fed.
So you look just like him, huh? Yeah. So you had that inner voice that was like, yeah, I hear that, but it's not my DNA.
you take it as a compliment because at the same time, like I said, my parents have always been transparent. They just didn't know who, and where, but they've always said, this is the story that we know. We do have a packet. We do have things that can probably support your finding, but when you are an adult, we will, and you're ready, we'll give that stuff to you. So I was kind of like, okay, but yeah, stuck on that. Feed them long enough, they look just like you.
Gotcha.
You couldn't tell nobody on live, nor that I don't look just like my dad.
Wow. Wow. They were like, you look just like
him. Just like
so, at what age did this journey start that you said, okay, I'm 18. Now what do I do? When do I start this journey of looking like? What was that like?
18, graduation, went straight to the military after that. I didn't ask for my paperwork until I was 23.
Okay.
I was 23. For whatever reason, I had a cousin that was very.
So wait a minute, let's back up. You said paperwork. Is this what your parents were going to give you? Okay,
yep,
so
it's a whole packet.
Okay,
it's
okay. So tell me about that.
So the packet had it had the adoption agency that were where I was, who did all the paperwork. It had background. It had my birthing, like everything. My birth mother's age, my birth father's age, but it also had her whole birth. So I didn't even realize that she had me by C-section, and the weight, everything.
Wow.
Everything was there from her and me. So, and you know how sometimes you'll get stuff and you be looking through, and you're just like, I didn't see that the last time.
Right.
And I've had this back for 20 years. I'm like, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
What?
You keep going back looking at it.
I keep going back.
Wow. Wow.
Even
so
at
to
20,
this day.
Yeah.
Wow.
At 23. At
23 is when you started this journey. Okay. So I think you told me you did Ancestry.
Yes. Yes, I did Ancestry. 2019.
Okay.
2019. And again, it's just going online, you seeing everything, and it's just like, oh, Ancestry, 23andMe.
Right.
Me, I was trying to go the other route. I was trying to go Oprah. I was trying.
Wait, what?
I was trying to email people because I'm trying to be on TV.
Okay. So you was trying to see. Yeah, so you want to be seen so they can so they can come get you.
Yeah, somebody. Yeah, but you know what? I'm a big procrastinator when it comes to myself.
Okay.
So I didn't want to do the legwork. I just wanted to shoot my story to somebody and say, hey, how much is it going to cost? Can I give you the money?
Oh, you was trying to Maury Povich this thing.
Pretty much. I was, hey, listen, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it myself. I wanted somebody else to do it for me.
Right. So then you have Ancestry. Tell me a little bit about Ancestry. You have to send in DNA or something?
Yes. So Ancestry, you definitely send in your DNA, and it's just like a cotton swab, of your mouth and everything. And then I would say about 6 to 8 weeks, they'll send you, your results. And obviously, everything's online.
Okay.
So you make an account, go online, and you find out everything. I mean, even going back to the motherland, like where I'm from in the motherland.
Really?
I'm just like, well, who's out there? Can I see them out there? Kenya. Oh, who's out there? Let me know. But
wow.
But there's also certain links on Ancestry where you can find out who you're connected to. Whether it's a first cousin, third cousin, fourth cousin, if it's a grandfather, if it's an uncle, if it's an aunt, if it's a sister or brother, and it gives you a percentage of how much DNA you have matched.
Okay.
To that person. So I started in 2019.
So when those little things came up and you seen there's a whole bunch of 99.9% match.
And it wasn't. It was like 25% here, 35% here.
Really?
It was third, fourth, fifth cousin. I'm just like, they don't know nobody. And see, and my name is not what I was given because I was never given a name.
Okay.
So my parents gave me my name.
Gotcha. So now I'm thinking like with DNA, you got to have DNA in the system some kind of way for them to track. But does everybody have DNA in the system?
They should.
You would think
so.
I'm just asking. Like, is it because you would have to have DNA in the system to be able to be known? Like, if Do they take my DNA when I go to the hospital? What they do? They steal it from me?
They draw your blood all the time.
But do they keep it like that's supposed to be personal for me? Like, how is DNA used? I'm supposed to give it. So you gotta. I'm saying that to say in ancestry, you almost gotta have people who were willing to give their DNA to be able to see, because you saying only 23%. So your dad and mom probably wasn't even on there, right?
No.
Yeah. So this is that's okay. Okay. So that's say it again. Only people who sign up. Yeah. So, I've been hesitant. I'd be like, they be trying to get my good blood. I don't know what they're trying to do with my good. But okay. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, okay, so that's why you got such low numbers, because now you've made this group. You set this group up. So I'm trying to set it up for y'all, because y'all, I have heard the story, and it is absolutely amazing. And someone saying she's proud of this woman you have to become. So even through your journey, people still notice you're a beautiful glow now.
Yeah.
So, but I tell people always, it's the perception that people give on the outside, but nobody knows what really was on the inside. So here we are. This young lady is 23. She is no, wait. This is 2017. So you were 30, 38? 38?
Something like that.
What, 2019?
2023 is when I got the paperwork. 2019
is when you started.
Is when I actually did the DNA. And
so y'all, COVID is like 5 years for me. I'd be like, that was 5 years ago. Yeah. Well, not that it's over, but
I was 39 when I did the DNA test.
When she started did this DNA testing, and she's got all her results back, and she's 39. Now, this is a 39-year-old woman. Y'all think about you at the age of 39 and where you are in life. You have 2 kids?
2 kids.
I had 2 kids at the time. And you find some information that you're just like really excited about now. But I could imagine the nervousness, the anxiety, the feeling of how my life is getting ready to change because I have some information. So explain to me that first phone call that you made. You made a phone call, or
before we go there, I would say that once I did the DNA test and everything was coming back and nothing really was connecting, COVID is really that, I kind of flip-flopped, because during COVID, I mean, we're all stuck in the house and everything. Right. And that was the moment where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I almost gave up, because every time you turned around, it was another third cousin. It was another fourth cousin, another second cousin, but it was nobody that was close family.
That was connected. So yeah, like, okay, so my bad. I did like block that from 23 all the way to 37. You had been looking and going through this ancestry for a minute. Tell me about that. That's like 10.
No, ancestry is just 2 years.
Yeah, but
just kind of the thought process.
You said you was a procrastinator.
Yeah.
So
the
you
thought
wouldn't
process of it.
Gotcha.
It was just, I would email or send a letter to the adoption agency, and they were like, "Oh, it costs $100." I'm like, I'm not paying that.
Right.
I'm just, But when I really started getting on the grind, then I flipped. Okay. Because at this point, I got mad. Yeah. We already got COVID, right? So COVID just had everybody just flip-flopping. But then there was moments where I'm like, man, forget it. I'm not going to find them. They're not looking for me, so forget it. But then I'm over here, and I'm a whole Gemini. So it's like one day I'm like, yes, I'm on my way. The next day I'm like, forget that. I'm not. They ain't looking for me. I'm not looking for them. But I knew it was in my heart. I was just like, I can't. Like, I have to keep going. And then the moment, we all go through our finances, right? I'm just like, I'm tired of paying Ancestry, because you got to pay every month. So I'm like, I'm tired of paying Ancestry. And the moment I said I was done, I got an email. And that email said, you have a close match. And I've never gotten that email before. Close match. So I was like, okay. So I opened it up. And when I opened it up, it definitely said it's a close family member. There's a link on there where you can see what type of family member. It was a guy, and his name was Ernest Coney.
Okay.
Never understood like who he was until I saw Coney. And I'm like, that name is somewhere.
Okay.
So now
So you didn't have names of them either.
I didn't have no first or last names, but Coney stood out.
Why?
Because now we got to go back to the paperwork.
Okay.
So now I'm flipping and I'm flipping and I'm flipping. I'm
So,
flipping.
you do have the name. You have the names of your birth parents. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't have the name of birth parents.
Oh, they not.
I have no names of no one.
Oh.
Just Coney. So when I went through paperwork and I'm like, I've seen that last name before and it never crossed my mind. And I saw a certificate from the adoption agency that had all this, something, Pennsylvania, everything. And it said baby girl Coney. And at that point, I lost it.
Oh, wow.
So called my ace and I'm like, I think I found somebody. So I'm telling him and he was just like, yeah. And I'm just like, no.
Because you don't know what to do with that.
I don't know what to do. So
because you're now how many years in the search?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years. So, and this was just last year.
Okay.
Last year, August.
Gotcha.
So opened it up and it said close family. And I'm just like, okay. So something told me, get out the paperwork and read his bio. So it showed me that he was 60 years old, but it also showed me that as the close connection, he could have been a grandfather or an uncle, and I'm thinking 60. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to the paperwork. The only thing I had of my birth parents was their birthdays. That's it. Okay. I didn't have a name. I had like birthdays, places they went to school, places where their parents worked, but never a name.
Wow.
So when I looked at my birth mother's birthday and I looked at Mr. Ernest Coney, I'm like, oh, they're just 2-3 years apart. He can't be a grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He got to be an uncle.
Yeah.
That's when all the research started.
Girl, you should have called you a good Scorpio, honey. We would have been detected that thing. Good Scorpio detected. Y'all Geminis take a little long. Scorpios, we detected. But yes, so you found Uncle
Ernest. Uncle Ernest Coney. They call him EJ.
Okay. So was he the first you reached out?
He was the first one I reached out to. And also, when you go on Ancestry, it tells you when the last time they were online. So I seen that this was August. He
online line? Any line?
Like, no, online, like
on Ancestry. Oh, girl.
Right.
Now this is too much. They keeping up with you, but I'm pretty sure that's coming.
So yeah, so when I did that, and I'm like, oh, he was just on like 3 weeks ago. So he must check, regularly. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Then I sent him a message. And he was easy. Like he messaged me back and he was just like, well, I told him, I'm like, you know what? I'm adopted. I'm trying to find my family. It says that you're a close family. But I do have a story. I do have some information. Wasn't quite ready to be like, oh, let me just pour it all and just give it,
right.
Because people are crazy. So I'm like, I'm not trying to tell everything. Yeah. So
he can say, yeah, this is me.
Right. So then he said, he was like, yeah, well, just, let me know what you have. So I just gave him a little bit, I gave him a little bit of my adoption story. And I told him how my birth mother was originally from Miami. So he was like, oh, well, I'm originally from Miami. And I'm like, okay. So after about maybe like another 3 or 4 days, I'm like, all right, I'm asking them questions. Because at this point, I'm like, people don't believe you. You know what I'm saying? They literally don't believe you because there's scams all over the place. Well, it's scams all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
So they really don't believe you. So my thing was like, I was willing to scan and send in whatever he needed to know, like just so he can know that I'm not here to play games.
Gotcha.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, So then I think it's like we got in contact, and it was maybe about a week or two that I didn't hear from him, and then all of a sudden it came back up. So I reached out to him again, and after all the information he's given me, he did not give me his two sisters.
Okay.
And so I just said, you know what, I just have to ask him. So I said, if you don't mind, would you be able to tell me the names of your sisters? Because he did say I have two sisters. One of them had passed away,
Right.
about 30 years ago. And I have one sister left. And yep, we all moved to Philadelphia at, teenage, years and
Right.
stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. So when he said that their names were Rose and Renee, Renee popped up.
Because the name was in the.
The name was in the. I'm
Paperwork.
going back to the paperwork.
Gotcha.
And so she was on the medical history.
Okay.
So, and on the medical history it said Renee, and in the parentheses it said sister.
Oh wow.
So at that moment I said, I think Rose is my mom. And of course I didn't
want to jump the gun.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump. So
okay, let's move forward. Just not bracing it, not trying to erase the story, but we got like an hour.
Yeah.
So we're here, and you have found your Uncle Ernest. He's told you your mom. He has two sisters. One is deceased, and he has another sister, Rose. Right. So you finally make a phone call?
I do make a phone call.
Okay. Tell us about that phone call. Tell us about how that happened.
So I didn't make the first few phone calls. My ace did.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I'm not calling no one. He's better at that. I just, no. So got on it. I'm calling him every 2 seconds. Call this number, call that number. First number we called, it was an older woman.
Okay.
And her name was Betty. And so we called, and she was like, no, there's no Rose that live at this number. And I'm like, all right, we can't call that number no more because she's an old lady. We don't want to be, harassing her.
This your ace over here who did the phone call?
Yeah.
Oh, you did the calling? Oh, come on over. Come stand right here for me. Y'all need to.
He like, nope.
He like, no, he didn't know I was going to do him like that. He didn't know I was going to do him like that. Okay, so you made the phone call. Miss Betty says she don't know no Rose.
Yeah, she says there's no Rose that live here.
No Rose that live there.
And which makes sense because,
it's scam.
Yeah.
Scam. We're going to be at the scam.
So what I did was I'm like, okay, so I started going through like Facebook and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, I see a Rose Coney, but I don't know who she connected to. But I see she's connected to Ernest Coney. I'm like, so Ace was like, hey, this is it. Like, that's her. And I'm like, no. Let me just do some more.
Was it a picture of Rose?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I was getting ready to say.
No, it was never a picture.
Okay.
So to continue on, I what did I do? Oh, the people search. So I paid like $13.99 for the people search. So for real. See, I don't like doing my own work, but I paid. And so I'm putting in people's names and everyone that came up under Rose Coney. So I'm seeing Deontay, and I'm seeing Darnell, I'm seeing Ariane. I'm like, who are these people? And they're all connected to this one address in Philly. And I'm like, who are these people?
Wow. So you have really connected real tight with them.
Yes.
Okay. So
but wait.
When do you listen, let's go. Cause see, this story is deep. But this is why she is planning to write a book, so that the book can be more detailed and you can get all the information from the book. Right now, we're going to try to stay surface as we can so that they can buy the book. Because when she was telling me, and she was telling, it was like 4 of us in here and we were listening. And one kept going back. And I was like, listen, that was chapter 1. You're going to have to go read that later. We can't keep repeating what the chapters was. So here we are. You have contacted. Who did you contact first?
Really, I spoke with on, I would say, the Coney side of the family. I spoke to Ariane.
Ariane is your.
So Ariane is my cousin.
Okay, a cousin.
But she's very much younger than me.
Okay.
So I really didn't think that she would know anything. Okay. So she was the only one that answered the phone.
Okay.
So she answered the phone. I'm giving her this whole spill. first time talking to anybody. She was very quiet. At first, I'm thinking like, is she actually listening to me?
Right.
You know, and she did. She listened, and throughout, I would probably maybe about 35 minutes of telling her my story. She was just like, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is, we would be cousins.
Okay.
Because Renee is her mother.
Okay.
And Rose is her aunt.
It's her aunt.
So I was like, okay.
Okay.
And so I'm like, is there any other siblings? And she's like, no, you're an only child. If this is true. Because again, she's like 27, 28, so she really didn't know. I'm 41. I'm just like, I don't know. During this time, she's texting her brother and texting her uncle, and they're like, oh, like, wait a minute.
So when did it pop off? Like, when did it say, okay, I'm gonna meet my mama?
This all happened within days. Okay. Like one day was this conversation, the next day was this conversation, but I had a conversation with my cousins first. So first it was Ariane, then it was Darnell.
Okay.
So me and Darnell, like instantly, I'm telling him the story and we connected like that.
Okay.
I believe we FaceTime before anything else, and he was like, yo. And I'm like, what? He was like, I think this is a match because you look just like my Aunt Vet. And I'm like, really? But of course it didn't hit me.
Okay.
It didn't hit me.
And he said Aunt Vet.
That's her middle name. They call her Vet.
Okay, Rose.
So I was just like, really, word? Okay, cool. So at that moment, I have a conversation with Uncle EJ.
Okay.
So talking with him, and I'm giving him all this story. Now I'm verbally having a conversation with him.
Right.
So he was just like, you know what? Pause. I'm gonna call you right back. Because at this point, he's like, you have too much information.
Right.
So
now we got to go to the mama, Betty.
So now he's gonna call me back. So he called it. He called his mama, which I didn't know that it was Betty.
Yeah.
But so he called her, and I'm sorry because this is part I get emotional. So he called her, and when he called her, and he called me back, he said, I don't know what the story is, but this is where I say, welcome to the family, because it's true.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And he was like, now my mom wants to talk to you on Wednesday at this time. And I'm like,
oh, now the ball is rolling.
So at this point, I get the phone number. I tell Ace, this is the phone number that you called asking for Rose.
Mm-hmm.
That was her. That was grandmother, I guess, And so at that point, the only person I'm really close with at the time is Darnell. And I'm like, Miss Betty want to talk to me. And he was like, that's going to be the easiest conversation you're going to have.
Okay.
And I was like, all right. And so the next day, I called that number.
Wow.
And it was Miss Betty.
It was your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Of course, all I can think is, my birth mother was 15, 16 years old. And it's like, and here is her mother. So obviously her mother had to, help her out with everything. And it was just like, and it was, Darnell was not lying. It was the easiest phone conversation I could have.
Was it?
It was. It was the easiest conversation. But it was also overwhelming because at that point I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So
how did they get you to Rose Vet?
So her brother said that he wanted to handle all of that.
Okay.
So, I left it at that. It's like I said, it's their family. So he left it, they left it to him to let her know. And for whatever reason, while I'm talking to Miss Betty and I'm saying, Miss Betty, do you happen to know who my dad is?
Mm.
Without hesitation, I sure do. What?
Oh, you know both. So now you're getting ready to find all the information.
I'm getting ready to find out who he is.
Oh, wow.
So she said, yeah. She said, his name is Bean, and he was just over here a couple of days ago. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm a whole 41 years old, and I'm like, he was just over at your house a couple of days ago? Yeah. Him and Vet were outside. They were talking. I'm like, okay. Well, do you happen to have his first name and last name? Because I'm ready to go on people search.
Right.
Trying to find them.
Girl, you better than me. I would have like, you got his phone number?
But he didn't.
Oh, he didn't have a number.
She didn't have his number. Then
Gotcha.
she's like, yeah, I see him every now and then because his mom lives down the street. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I got another. She said, yeah, she's down the street, just a couple of blocks up. And I'm like, okay. So she had to call back EJ to get his last name because she knew his first name but not his last name. And so once she called me back and she gave me his first and last name, then there it was.
Wow.
So
what was your reaction when you heard your mother's voice for the first time? Your birth mother.
We laughed.
You and her both laughed?
Yeah. Because she was the last one I talked to. A whole week went by. I've already talked to my birth father.
Wait, back up. So how was that? How was your feeling? Not so much the whole conversation. How was that feeling for you to hear your father's voice? Like did you see his face?
Not that same day, but at the moment it was. I called, which will be his sister.
Uh-huh.
I called her and spoke to her and told her the whole story. She knew, but she just didn't know if I was a girl or a boy. So she knew about the adoption back 1,000 years ago. But,
gotcha.
But she was like, yeah, we can call him on three-way right now. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, not ready yet, but I was ready. I was ready.
Right.
So called him on three-way and she's giving him the whole spell. Well, what about Happy? And there's all these nicknames and stuff. And who's this person? Who's that person? And have you seen this person? And he's like, yeah. Like, what's going on? And she said, I got your daughter on the phone. And he was like, stop effing playing with me. Stop effing playing with me. You play too much. And she's like, no, it's real. She said, baby, go ahead and say hello. I was like, hello. And then at that point, it's like I can hear, his voice and just trembling and at this point he was just like, can I, can we, video record you have? Then I was just like, oh,
he was eager.
He was ready.
Oh,
he was
wow.
Because of course, at this point, like I don't feel like anyone should have to apologize,
right?
For the decision that was made when you were a child,
15 and 16.
So, but he did. He's like, oh, I apologize, and I'm just like, I just let him say what he need to say, and I'm like, here, I am definitely here for a connection. I just want to know where everyone is, and and who you are. So, so he definitely said, I said, I got an iPhone, so unless you got FaceTime, I don't know how else ever to video chat you. And so they set me up on this Google Duo, and so it was hard at first. It was hard because I wasn't ready just yet.
Gotcha.
So when he
and this was just 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, back in August.
Not 6.
About 9 months.
About 9 months now. Okay.
So when he got online and I got online.
Wow.
It was. I saw myself in him, but I was just like, wow, I'm seeing this for the first time. And, I'm seeing him, I'm seeing his sister, and I'm kind of like, God, I kind of look like you guys. Just like I see it. But I will never forget the fact that even though I've heard it from Darnell, which is my cousin, and I know he wouldn't lie, but hearing it from my birth father, he was just like, wow. And he kept saying, wow, and oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And then he was like, oh, you're so beautiful. And I was like, thank you, all these compliments. And that's when he hit me with, you look just like your mother. That
is what?
That took me out. That really took me out.
Wow.
Because like I said, I've heard it from my cousin, but it's like hearing it from the person who's my actual birth father, that took me out. And so we talked for hours and he told me their history and
oh wow.
And so ever since then it was like nonstop. It was nonstop with him, and every day it was like I was talking to everybody but that. But I knew, because I'm a mother. You're a mother. So I knew, like,
She had
I
to
could
get.
just
She had to.
imagine
I was
what
getting
she
ready to
had to.
say. I could only imagine a mother who was 16, 15, 16 at the time, had a C-section and didn't, probably wasn't old enough to even make the decision for herself. And something she's held on to. And you said you would have been the only child. So they said, therefore,
Right.
there's no other
There's
kids.
no
So
other
you're
kid.
talking about, you're 42.
Mhm.
They had you at 15. So she's 57.
Yeah.
57.
Yep.
You're 57 and you're going through life with this emptiness of something you knew that was taken, like literally removed from you. And if you every mother on here knows
Yeah.
what it's like to have a baby and to have that baby removed and you never see it again. Could you imagine
Yeah.
what this 57-year-old woman had been feeling? Like, I'm getting chills just thinking about how empty this woman was. We not taking anything from your father. Like,
Yeah.
men seem to hold something different, but when that heart beats with your beat inside of your body, that blood is connected inside of you as a mother. Um, it makes me feel some type of way to think that my son would have been removed from me and I never, ever, ever get to hold him, touch him, smell him, see him, nothing. And I had my son at 23, so I look at that as a fairly young age to, like,
It's a lot.
So that's a lot for her. So I can see why she is the most hesitant person to,
you just make that connection.
Let me take this in. Like, therapy. Let me tell y'all know I'm an advocate for therapy. I'm like, I would, if I was her mom, I'd have been like, hold up, let me go to the therapist. Let me check out, like, how ready am I to see something that was taken from me? And I'm saying taken, not in a her parents took it or anybody took it. I'm saying taken where she said her mother never got to see her because your mother was asleep doing surgery.
Yeah, she was
So
asleep.
she was saying she was asleep during surgery. So you wake up and you had a belly, and then you wake up and then you don't. Yep. And that is a strong connection. So we give Rose Bet. We've called her two names, Rose and Bet. So much grace for this timing. So we are 2 or 3 weeks in the search, the finding of the parents, and you finally do what? How do you meet?
So I was we had a birthday party to go to up in Pennsylvania. So at this point, I'm like, well.
Oh, you about to meet Vet face to face?
Yeah, I'm about to meet them both.
For the first time? Vet?
Labor Day weekend.
Oh, wow.
Labor Day weekend last year. So Labor Day weekend last year, we met face to face. And it was good. It was everything I thought that it would be. Little overwhelming because the last time they put on a whole party gathering, family members, some friends I guess were over there.
Wow.
But I met them first. In front of Bean's mother's house.
Okay.
So I met them first, and then we went on to the party. So
gotcha.
It was amazing. To say the least, it was amazing
to meet your mother.
Yes.
Did you look like her? Did you look like you was looking in the mirror?
Man, I look just like her. I mean, like, I just have a lighter skin color.
Yeah.
Like, I have the tone of Bean, but I look just like her.
Yeah. Y'all, when I say she looks
like
identical
her.
to her mother,
and all,
she's identical. Your mother's just short. They call her Happy. And then look, it made sense when you hey, leave us short people alone. Don't do that. Like,
so short.
Listen, we short for a reason.
I finally got somebody shorter than me.
Hey.
But I'm like
hey. But wow, to meet your mom for the first time face to face. How was that embrace?
Yeah. It was good. Okay. It was good because I've already been talking with them.
And you've been yearning for it.
Yeah. So to hug her, to hug him, everything was all good. I didn't break down until I hugged Bean's mom, the grandmother.
Oh wow.
That was like,
would you say the fact that you gave them grace from them being so much younger
Mm.
allowed you to release some of the anger that you would have? And I say that because some people, I hear people, what is his name? He's a radio disc jockey. He talks about being adopted, Willie Moore Jr.
Okay.
And he was saying how his parents, his mother didn't want him, and even after he found her, she still did not want to see him.
Mm.
And do you think that your grace from them being young was able to release that first interaction of hatred or hurt or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because I get it. Like, when I approached everybody, it's just like, listen, I get it.
Mhm.
People were young, like, and you're talking the 80s. And
Yes.
any of us that were raised in the 80s, it may not have been the best. So, I get it. Did I have resentment? Of course I did. Did I feel like, I had issues, I would say, with abandonment or issues with, insecurities in myself. And it was a part of me, I just felt like, I wasn't chosen. Even though a lot of people feel like, you were adopted, so be grateful. It wasn't that I wasn't grateful. There was just a moment where I felt like I wasn't placed number one. Like nobody chose me, so therefore I was, like second to someone else.
That's deep. Even though you were chosen, because you were chosen by your adopted parents, you still felt like you wasn't chosen by your birth parents. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And you got to remember, this is not knowing the circumstances of their both their family dynamics.
Right.
So when all you are is it's just a packet, you know what I mean? You're just a packet with no names, no identification, just birthdays. I'm making up stories in my head about who they are and what they knew or what they didn't know or what they should have done, what they shouldn't have done, for me to be like, you know what? I will never, ever, ever get these answers unless I find them. So, of course, once I found them and talked to them together and even individually, it makes sense.
Wow.
And I get
so
it.
now you have stories, you have their stories and their feelings and their emotions.
And I can last thing say, I was definitely made out of love. Both of them have said you were made out of love. And it shows because they're friends.
Yeah.
They're friends even to this day, and they've been friends this whole time.
Wow.
And I can see it. I can see it.
You think about adoption, you just saying that you were made out of love. Mm-hmm. And she was telling me earlier about being in a Facebook group where it's a lot of people that have been adopted. Can I say it? Okay, so like even my producer behind the scenes, y'all have heard him a couple of times. So Kentrell, when I mentioned that we was going to do this show, he was like, I was adopted too. And I was like, oh, really? Like if this is going to be too much, let's pull. But he has just started his journey. So I can't wait to get him on the show, bring him around on the front side of the camera to talk about that. But let me know if you need some help. Yes. So, but this is my thing. Like, she said on the Facebook group, somebody found out that they were made from incest. Mm-hmm. They were the child of a brother and sister. Or you might have people on there that was conceived from a rape.
Yep.
People that were not conceived in love. And it is huge to hear that you were actually conceived in love. And it almost can show that because of you, like I've talked to you, and as much as you're Gemini. Bless it. And as much as she goes back and forth, you can still see the love that's in her for her parents. It's still a compassion. Like the compassion that you've been talking about them sounds like the compassion you have for your adopted parents.
Oh, absolutely.
She really has that. And God, I would love to talk to more people or have more conversation about this and see different angles of adoption. Like you really need a support group.
Yeah.
You really need a support group. And for like people like your mom who knew that she had a baby out in the world. And it's like do you go look for them? Does she have information about you? Does she have information, not to put her story, not for you to comment on her story, but does, what hesitated her, what made her hesitate not to look for you, or, what was that? Like, you just never know what's going on. And that's a lot of different angles. A lot of different angles. When you write your book, what do you think you're going to focus on?
I definitely want to focus on the beginning stages of just how I felt, after I was told the kind of things that I felt just being around, my family, my adopted family, and just going into the thought process of who's that walking down the street.
Wow.
And go into the search. Go into the search. And also I would say, whatever you do, you definitely need that support. I could not have done this alone. I would have been all over the place. I've had family members, friends. My number one ace, man, he helped me down. He helped me because there was so many days I was crying, and then I'm mad, and then I'm happy, then I'm crying again. I'm just like, yeah. But I would say the whole journey is definitely a blessing, to say the least. It was anything else, the ups and downs, you're going to have.
Right.
You're going to have the ups and downs. You're going to have the questions that come later on after the discovery is already there. Then you have questions. You might even have a few arguments. You might,
So the question is what I asked before. She was telling me one time that she was filling out paperwork. When you go to the doctor, and you go to the hospital, you have a baby, they ask you what's your medical history. So she said all these years she was putting her adopted medical history. So they might have cancer in their family, but then at one point she was like, oh,
it's not me.
That's not even me. And I was like, wow, like it wasn't. And even if they had the medical history of your parents, they might have had the grandparents, but they didn't have your parents because they were only 15 and 16.
Right. Yep.
So they really didn't have any history at the time.
That part was rough. I had my son at 25.
Okay.
And when I first started filling out all that information, and your doctor's like, oh, well, tell me your history, and I'm already emotional because I'm pregnant, and I just stopped. I said, I can't. And the doctors look at me like, why not? I'm like, because I'm adopted and I really don't know. And so it went into a whole therapy session versus you're pregnant and we need this blood. And I'm just like, I don't have anything to give you because I don't know it. So I got 2 arms with a bunch of veins. So take all the blood you need
so you can figure it out.
Figure it out because I can't tell you.
Yes. Well, I'm so proud of you for having such great support. Like her A1. He's behind the scene.
Yeah,
he definitely don't want to.
No, he don't.
You don't want to see. Okay. they on here A1 saying shout out to the ace. Like he's been there. Like he has definitely held your hand, and that's a good place to be for somebody to be in your corner. You're not adopted, are you? You just got a sensitive empathy. Yeah. That's good. See, that's the new thing too. Finding friends that push you.
Yeah.
To get you out your comfort zone. And he told her she had 2 choices. Either we find out or we let it go.
Yeah.
But we got some information. Let's dive in. So they dove in and bam, you found your
I found everybody.
Your birth. You found everybody. And then you found everybody in a couple of weeks of each other. Like that was like a month's time of finding all the information that you ever wanted.
Yep.
Up until the fact, I know the timing is getting there, but up until the fact that her birth parents came to Atlanta last weekend to meet her adopted parents.
So yes. So last weekend I celebrated my 42nd birthday. Shout out to all the Geminis, of course. um, so I always say this: there's so many people out there, well, women, little girls, that they've always dreamed about. Oh, I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to do this and have this long dress and everything. And I was kind of like,
Wow.
no. The only thing I've ever wanted in my life was to meet my birth parents, and for my birth parents to meet my parents or my adopted parents. And that happened last week here in Atlanta, on my birthday. So that was amazing. That was amazing. And it was, I would say, it was trouble in the waters leading to, because everybody got feelings, and we get it, right?
Yes.
We get it. Everybody had feelings moving forward. But when that moment came, I thought I was going to be all sentimental and everything, but it was so smooth.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, this is it.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
This is it. I would say my adopted mom looked and is like, wow, after all these years, like, it's no more you look like your dad.
You look like your mama.
So
yes. Oh, wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's still amazing, and I would
because
say
the journey really is just
it's
beginning.
just beginning.
The journey is really just beginning.
Wow. I think about Rose, and it's like she went from, finding out about me, and then it's like, I don't have any siblings by her. Okay, well, now she has 2 grandkids. Now it's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Wow. So Rose went at 57 to finding out that she was motherless,
right,
to finding out that she has a daughter and she's a grandmother. Now ain't that now? That's a lifetime story. Now that is a lifetime story. That is interesting to oh yeah, that's like a series of books. Like you got to get Rose and Bean to tell their stories too. Because I know that's one thing I liked about you. You said, I never want to tell their story.
No, it's not my story to tell.
She said she never wanted to tell her parents' stories because what she's cooked up in her head, envisioned in her head, is what she's envisioned.
Right.
They have their own story, their own journey about this. I'm pretty sure Bean does too. Like he has his own story. Bean is married, right?
Yes.
So there's a whole his side of accepting, everything. That's like a whole bunch of stories. So wow, you know what? When you gonna write the book? I'm like, what chapter are we on? What chapter are we on?
Look, anybody out there, like I said, I am a procrastinator, but I just we're gonna get rolling.
Okay. I think I might have someone.
Get it rolling.
I might have someone with you with book writing. If anybody's out there who knows about book writing, my girl who is on, she wrote a book about her story from being in Baltimore. And we had her on the show.
I've seen that.
So she definitely can really write, because I read her book and was like, girl, I didn't know. Like, really?
There's someone live like,
yes.
Really? This is, yeah, it's going down.
So, Janelle, thank you so much for coming to share your story and being open about your adoption and telling to the world straight from the chair, Janelle, and the story of the adopted baby girl. What's the name of the book? You got a title yet?
Not yet, but somebody online just texted me and said that it should be called Chosen.
Now, I'm not even getting ready to tell y'all online why that just hit.
Yeah.
But as soon as we get off online, y'all will see pretty soon. You all will see real soon why that word chosen just did something to me. And it just solidified something for me. She don't even know it solidified it for me. So I thank y'all so much for joining in tonight. Give Janelle a round of applause. Put some beautiful story. Like, she is absolutely amazing. You all are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every week. Like I said last week, I am going to take a break just for the summer. We're taking a break. And I say we, me and Kentrell, we're going to get some marketing together. We're going to read up on podcasting. It's not easy doing podcasting because a lot of it has to do with content. And that's, that's some places that I lack, but I'm ready to get onto it and move forward. So we definitely will be bringing you back
Yes,
as
I'll
a
be
guest.
back. I'll be back.
Yes, we'll be bringing you back. And yeah, look for us coming out in August. We're gonna have some snippets. I'm not gonna stop posting. Like the posting is gonna get more and more. You'll probably get tired of me and ask me when we're coming back. That's my goal. That's my goal. Hopefully, I can be some
Absolutely.
pounds lighter when I come back on the screen.
Ooh, me too.
But like I said, I appreciate you all. I love you all. And watch out for us coming in August. And we're out straight from the chair.
Get it straight from the chair. We ain't just talking